Okay, guys, have a look. So today we have our second read of our reading comprehension. Let's just have a look at the class rules before we get started. They are, as always, listen carefully, be quiet, raise your hand. So that means click the raise your hand button, not actually raising your hand. Number 4, speak loudly. And number 5, try your best. Before we get started on our homework, before we get started on our lesson, let's review the homework. Today is our second read for Now and Then. Now, let's have a look. Today we're going to compare and contrast when we think about the story. Pumpkin, can you read for me, please? In Now and Then.
In Now and Then, the author compare and contrast things from the past and things from today. To compare and contrast means to tell how things are the same and different. As to read, use the invite to compare and contrast evidence to compare and contrast how things were in the past to how they are today. This can help you connect events from the past
to your life
today. Use a diagram like the one below to help you compare and contrast.
Lovely reading. Thank you, Pumpkin. Okay, so today is all about comparing and contrasting. When we talk about comparing and contrasting, we can look at something called a Venn diagram. So this circle diagram is called a Venn diagram, and I'm sure that you have learned about these in math before. So Venn diagrams help us compare and contrast. So have a look at this little diagram before we get started with our reading. Here we have a cat and a dog. In these two circles, we are contrasting. What that means is we're talking about how they are different. For example, cats meow, cats chase mice, cats hiss, cats climb trees. Dogs bark, dogs chase cats, dogs growl, and dogs dig holes. Cats and dogs are different in these two circles. However, in the middle, where they join up, we can compare. And when we compare, we think about things that are similar or the same. Cats and dogs both have tails. Cats and dogs both have fur. Cats and dogs both have animals, and cats and dogs both have 4 legs. Today, I want to compare and contrast then and now. We're going to talk about past and present. Let's have a look at this. I would like Hun. Okay, Hun, can you read this page for me? Now
our newspaper filled with illustration. Then was the first to print political
good girl.
cartoon in American. The cartoon encouraged the American
Colonies
colonies to join together or die like the disconnected snake.
Disconnected snake. So here you can see this is the cartoon that he first drew. Here I have an actual picture of the cartoon that he drew, and this is what it said. Thank you for reading, Han. Lovely reading. Here is the actual cartoon that Benjamin Franklin added to the newspaper. It said join or die, and here he had a picture of a snake that was all cut up. And what this meant is that he wanted to encourage the American colonies to join together against British rule. So America and Britain were fighting at this time, and Benjamin Franklin said if America didn't join together, they would die. They wouldn't have a standing chance. So this is an actual picture of the cartoon that Benjamin Franklin published in the newspaper. What do we think of this cartoon? Hands up if you like this cartoon. Okay, good, lovely. Why do you like this cartoon, Billy?
Oh, I like this cartoon because it is funny.
Funny, very good. It's funny, it's clever. It's very clever as well. Well done, Billy. Okay, hands up if you think that newspapers with cartoons are better than having no cartoons in newspapers. Lots of hands are going up. Amazing. Okay, pro. Why do you think having cartoons is better than having no cartoons?
Because it look better than not have cartoon.
Very good. It looks better than not having cartoons. It also means that people can be interested more. If we're looking at illustrations, it gives us a break from all the reading. Well done. Okay, so let's go to our Venn diagram. Let's add some things in. Okay, then. What can we write in then that we've just learned about from back then? What could we put in this circle talking about newspapers? What is different about newspapers back then than is now? What is the difference? How can we contrast newspapers from then and now? What can we write in here? Cherry.
Papers do not have cartoons.
Good girl, well done. So back then, there were no illustrations in newspapers. Good girl, Cherry, well done. So back then, in newspapers, there were no illustrations. What about now? What about now? Noob.
Now there are illustrations in newspaper.
Good job. Now, there are lots of illustrations in our newspapers. Good job. What about in the middle? What could we talk about for both? So back then, there were no cartoons in newspapers. Now, there are lots of cartoons, lots of illustrations. But what about both? How can we compare them? How are they the same? What did newspapers do? Why would someone buy a newspaper? Pat.
To get news.
Very good. To
That's
get
what
news or to get
information.
Very good.
Information.
Well done, Pat. Information. Good job. So newspaper stories told information, okay? And they still do. When we get a newspaper, it tells us stories about what's going on in the world, what's going on in our city, what's going on in our country. Newspapers tell us information. Good job. So that's how we can compare and contrast newspapers then and now. Okay, next, let's talk about electricity. So, electricity back then, how did people think and feel about electricity? Cherry.
Then they don't know much about electricity, but now we know how to use it.
Very good. Good girl. Well done. Back then, nobody really knew a lot about electricity. So, they were actually quite scared of electricity. Can anyone remember what it said in the story? How did people view electricity? Trixie?
First of all, they were scared of electricity because they thought that electricity was a sign of punishment from the god.
Good girl. That's exactly the answer I was looking for. Well done. People didn't know anything about electricity. In fact, when there was an electricity storm, so a lightning and thunderstorm, people thought it was an act of punishment from their god. So people were very, very scared and didn't understand how to use it. But as Cherry said, now we use electricity all the time. In fact, we depend on electricity. Sometimes when the electricity goes out, we don't know what to do. We have no internet, we have no refrigerator, we have no cooker, we have no lighting. We depend on electricity nowadays. Okay, who can remember what is this called? How about hacker?
That was the lightning rod.
Very good. Well done. It's a lightning rod. Okay, who can explain to me what a lightning rod does? Lucy. What does a lightning rod do, Lucy?
The lightning rod. Yeah, don't let the electricity from the lightning to harm the building.
Good girl. Perfect answer. Well done. This metal rod is very tall and it's made of metal. So, as you all know, electricity conducts through metal. So, it's attracted to the metal. So, when there is a lightning storm like this, the lightning will go to the metal rod and it will attract all of the electricity. So it won't damage or harm the building or the people inside it. In fact, it will just travel down all the way to the ground and safely be deposited in the ground. So it will not hurt anyone and keeps everyone very safe. Hands up if you think the lightning rod is an important invention. Noob, why is it important?
Because it protects building from the lightning.
Very good. It protects buildings from the lightning. Good job. Perfect work. Okay, so let's go back to our Venn diagram. Okay, what can we say about electricity then? Baldy?
People feel scared about electricity.
Very good. People feel or felt scared about electricity. So people were afraid of electricity. Good job, Baldy. Okay, now how do we feel about electricity? Let's go for Pumpkin.
People feel electricity is useful.
Very good. We now think that electricity is super useful, and honestly, many of us could not live without electricity. Good job. So we understand and depend on electricity now. Do you think there's anything that we could write in the in-between box or circle, sorry? Do they have any similarities then and now? Winter?
They can be dangerous.
Ooh, very good. They can be dangerous. Well done, Winter. They can be dangerous. Back then it could be dangerous, and now it can be dangerous too. Good job, Winter. Very nice answer. Okay, good job, Winter. Very good work. It can be dangerous. Okay, next, let's have a look at this. Now, this gadget goes by many names, such as the grabber. Everyone has seen one. It's the long stick that helps grab items from out of reach places. Who can remember what Benjamin Franklin invented first? What was the name of Benjamin Franklin's invention that is very similar to the grabber? Han.
The long arm.
Good girl, well done. The long arm, amazing. So Ben invented the original device and called it the long arm because it worked very much so like a long arm. Okay, so have a look at this picture of Benjamin Franklin's long arm. What is he using to maneuver the long arm? What is this, Lily?
A rope.
Good girl. He's using a rope to pull the long arm. Good girl, Lily. But have a look at today's grabber. Actually, I've got a better picture. Here we go. Have a look at today's grabber. What do we use on today's grabber to use the clippers at the end? Do we use a rope? No. What do we use? Joey. So we don't use a rope anymore, but what do we call this? You can press in the button.
Pressing the button.
Very good.
The button will attract the clip.
Very good. Well done, Joey. So we can press in a button or we can use the handle to help us use the grabber these days. Well done, Joey. Okay, so let's add that. Let's add that to our Venn diagram. Okay, so back then, how did we use a long arm? Back then, how did we use a long arm? What did Benjamin Franklin have to pull on to use the long arm? Let's go for Katie, a piece of rope. Yeah, this is a piece of rope. So he's pulling on the piece of rope. Good job. Well done. Okay, so back then, an arm grabber was controlled by a rope. Okay, what about now? How do we use an arm grabber now? Let's go for Steve. A button. Yeah, so we use a button or we use a handle. A button or a handle. Okay, well done. So now it's controlled by a handle. Okay, what did they both do? What did they both do and what do they both do? How are they the same? They're different because back then they were used by pulling a rope. Now we use it using a button or a handle. How are they the same? Pro, can you tell me?
It's all due to take things.
Very good. They're both used to grab things from out of reach. Both grabbers are long poles used to reach things. Very good. Well done. Okay, last one. Let's have a look. I would like Katie to read this for me. Now,
Everyone has seen a rocking chair, but not many have seen
Dr.
Dr. Franklin a rocking chair.
Good girl, lovely reading, thank you. And Steve, can you read this for me? Ben invented.
Ben invented on rocking chair with a fan on top and one that turned button.
Very good, well done. So now everyone has seen a rocking chair. This is a rocking chair. It looks like this. The legs are different than a normal chair. They are at an angle and they are curved so that you can move back and forth. It is used to relax you. But back then, Benjamin Franklin made ones with fans on top and ones with butter churners on the back so that while you were rocking and relaxing, you could cool yourself down or you could be making butter. Now, let's talk about how they're different. Back then, what was different about rocking chairs back then? What did rocking chairs have on them that we don't have on rocking chairs today? Thailam A, how are rocking chairs different back then? What did they have on them that we don't have rocking chairs on rocking chairs now?
Fan.
Fan, good, a fan. And what's this? Something that we use to churn butter. So many years ago, people couldn't go to a shop and buy butter. So people used to churn their own butter. But now we can easily go to a Vinmart or a Circle K and buy some butter if we need to. So well done, Thailam A. So back then, Benjamin designed rocking chairs with fans and butter churners. Okay, what about our rocking chairs today? Lucy.
It's just a normal rocking chair, doesn't have a fan or turn butter.
Good girl, well done. It's just a normal rocking chair. We don't need fans or churners on our rocking chairs because we have electric fans and we can buy butter easily from the shop. Okay, how are they the same? What do they both do, Lucy?
They both move back and forth.
Good girl, they both move back and forth. Well done. Rocking chairs move back and forth today and all the way back then. Very good. Well done, guys. Amazing work. Okay, so what we're going to do for the last 2 minutes is what other ideas can you think of to compare and contrast life and then, between then and now? For example, what did people use for light? What did people use to keep their food fresh? How did people move around? How is it different from today's society? Have a look at this. What is this? What am I looking at here? Han.
It's a pull horse.
Mhm.
Like two horses pull people and sit on the chair, and then when the horse didn't go, they use a rope to like hit to the bunch.
Very good. Well done to make the horses go. Good girl. Well done. Perfect. So back then, okay, people used horses and carriage. There was no such thing as a motorbike. There was no such thing as a scooter or a car. So people used horses and carriages to get around. What's this? I can see a book and I can see what? What's this? Everyone shout it out.
A candle.
A candle. Very good. Why is this person using a candle? What do we think? Winter.
Because at the past there isn't any light bulb.
Very good. In the past, there wasn't any electricity. So if people wanted to do their reading, their homework at nighttime, they had to use a candle to read. Okay, last and not least, have a look at this picture. What can you see happening in this picture? Baldy.
People are washing the clothes.
Very good. Are they using a washing machine?
No,
No, what are they doing?
they're washing by hands.
Very good. So back then, people did not have a washing machine that they could just throw their clothes into that would wash their clothes for them. Instead, people would spend hours and hours washing their clothes by hand and scrubbing at them. So here are some examples of how life is different then and now. So for homework, guys, this is what I would like you to do. I would like you to draw your own Venn diagram like this, and I want you to think of some ways that life is different now compared to back then. I want you to think of some ways life was different now than what it was like for Benjamin Franklin and during that time. So you can talk about the ideas that we've just spoken about. You can talk about transportation. You can talk about how people communicated. Did people have to write letters, or could they pick up a telephone and call someone? you compare and contrast life now and then. So I just want you to draw your own Venn diagram for homework tonight. Okay, do I have any questions about your homework? Amazing. Okay, very good. Okay. You guys also have to read one more story, as tomorrow is our last day of the reading comprehension. So we have one more story to read, and then we'll contrast both of the stories. So I will send an email explaining what page number that is and a link to the story that you can read. Okay, guys, on that note, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to say goodbye to you all. So please complete your Venn diagram, and you have one more reading to do, so you can do your reading over the weekend. Okay, bye guys. Have a great weekend. See you on Monday. Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.